Imagine being told your whole life that college is the key. Teachers, parents, counselors, all pointing towards the same door. A degree means stability. It means mobility. It means choices. But for millions of people, that door is starting to close. Not because they lack drive or potential, but because the barrier standing in front of it keeps getting taller. Each year, the conversation around higher education gets a little louder, a little more urgent. Students are asking whether the promise of college still holds up against the reality they're facing. This is where my story, or my presentation, begins, not with statistics or policies, but with the simple question: what happens when the cost of opportunity becomes the cost of exclusion?
College is supposed to be a pathway to opportunity, a chance to build a future, to earn a better income, to break cycles that hold people back. But in the United States, that path comes with a steep price, one that rises nearly every year. Tuition has increased so rapidly that many students never even get the chance to take the first step. In the last 2 decades alone, average tuition at public universities has risen by more than double the rate of inflation. And while enrollment used to grow steadily, the recent national trend shows it is now declining. Before we talk about why this is happening or how it affects students and families, we have to understand one thing: cost isn't just a number. Cost decides who tries, who hesitates, and who never gets the chance.
When I started digging into this topic, I realized that everything we're about to talk about isn't just some distant academic issue, it's something I felt in my own life. I've had moments where I've looked at my MyU or my FAFSA and wondered, how am I supposed to make this work? And I haven't even fully entered the process yet. So as we go through the bigger picture, I want to share what some of the numbers have meant for me personally.
Section 1, setting up the problem. When we look at tuition in isolation, the numbers are shocking. But the bigger problem is what happens when you compare those numbers to something like median household income. Over the past 20 years, tuition has skyrocketed while income has barely moved. That means students and families are being asked to pay more without earning more. And even though most people already know college is expensive, we don't always talk about what that actually means. Rising tuition changes which college students apply to, whether they choose a major they love or one they think will pay off, whether they take an unpaid internship, and even whether they stay enrolled after the first year or even semester. Behind every statistic is a real decision, a real fear, or a real sacrifice.
I've felt myself thinking the same way that a lot of students do. I've looked at majors and wondered, is this something that I love or something I'm choosing because it feels safer financially? I've browsed college websites and caught myself thinking more about the cost column than the programs or the opportunities. That pressure shapes your thinking before you even apply, and that's the part people don't always talk about.
Section 2, why tuition keeps rising. So why does tuition keep going up? The causes are layered, and none of them exist on their own. First, state funding for public universities has steadily declined. When states pull back on their financial support, universities shift more of the cost onto students. This alone has changed the entire structure of higher education funding. Second, the cost of running a university keeps increasing. Inflation raises the price of utilities, faculty salaries, technology upgrades, campus maintenance, everything that keeps a university functioning day to day. On top of that, students often expect more services than in the past. Mental health centers, tutoring programs, career advisors, upgraded facilities, and newer technology. And third, universities compete with one another. New dorms, fitness centers, dining halls, and recreation areas. These are investments colleges use to attract students. But those investments come with a price. Universities often describe rising tuition as a response to financial pressure, not a money grab. And while that may be true in many cases, the impact on students is the same: higher costs, more debt, and tougher decisions. Section 3, impact on students. For students, especially first-generation, low-income, and minority students, rising tuition becomes more than a challenge. It becomes a barrier. Even when financial aid helps, it doesn't always cover enough. And even when loans are available, the thought of long-term debt can be overwhelming. This creates what some researchers call a psychological cost. Students begin doubting whether they belong in college before they even start. Others take on multiple jobs to avoid loans, which results in less study time, lower grades, and higher dropout rates. Some choose a cheaper college that isn't the best fit academically. Others step away from higher education completely.
And for me, this topic isn't just academic, it's personal. While researching this project, I found myself thinking back to the first time I really looked into tuition costs. I remember opening college websites and seeing numbers that didn't feel real. They felt like obstacles. I spent time on financial aid calculators trying to figure out what my own education might cost. I've wondered how much debt I'd have to take on and whether certain paths are worth the financial risk. That feeling isn't unique. Lots of students experience it every year. But the emotional part is rarely talked about. The stress, the doubt, the feeling that your dreams come with the price tag you might not be able to pay.
Section 4. Families. Is it worth it? As tuition increases, families face impossible decisions. For many, the question isn't just which college to choose, it's whether college is worth the financial risk at all. Parents have to choose between saving for college and paying for essential expenses like rent, groceries, medical bills, or childcare. And the cost doesn't just affect students. Families feel the pressure too. Surveys show declining confidence in higher education's return on investment. When the cost of a degree grows faster than wages, families worry that college may no longer guarantee a better future. This uncertainty changes family conversations. Instead of asking where you want to go, more families now ask, what can we afford? Or even, should you go at all?
I've had versions of these conversations with my own family. Not arguments, just a reality check of what college might cost and how much debt is too much. It's something that sticks with you, even before you apply.
Section 5. University's perspective. To understand the full picture, we also have to look at university's point of view. Administrators argue that tuition increases are not about profit, they're about survival. With declining state support and the need to maintain accredited programs, universities say they rely on tuition more than ever. Universities also point out that many services students rely on, mental health counseling, tutoring, disability support, career guidance, didn't always exist at this scale. These services cost money, but without them, student success would be even harder to achieve. And this perspective doesn't erase the impact on students, but it does show that the issue is more complex than it looks. Section 6. Experts' viewpoints and national consequences. Experts warn that rising tuition is contributing to a major shift in the landscape of higher education. Enrollment has been falling nationally for over a decade, and rising costs are a central factor. When tuition increases faster than wages, fewer students enroll, and those who do often come from higher income households. This creates a cycle. Fewer students enroll, universities lose revenue, and tuition rises again to make up the difference. Some smaller colleges have already closed permanently. Others have merged, cut programs, or reduced staff. And on a larger scale, if fewer people can afford college, we risk increasing the gap between those who have economic opportunities and those who don't. Education becomes less of a public pathway and more of a private privilege. Closing section. At its core, this issue matters because education is supposed to expand possibilities, not limit them. Rising tuition doesn't just change the cost of a degree, it changes people's futures. And whether we're students, family members, or future policymakers, we all have a role in understanding and addressing the barriers that keep opportunity out of reach. If college is meant to open doors, then tackling the cost barrier is the first step in making sure those doors are open to everyone.
I'm still figuring out my own path, just like so many other students. But what I do know is this: that cost barrier shouldn't decide who gets a chance and who doesn't. If college is meant to open doors, then understanding this issue is the first step towards keeping those doors open.